What's up, all? That was a bad intro right there.
You sound like a fucking, you sound like Doug Peterson. He's like does the car reviews. Oh, you sound just like his intro. That was crazy.
That was terrible. Welcome to ThrowBLKs. J5 in the building. Josh Pease.
Hey, man, we here.
We're finally here.
We here.
Did I say ThrowBLKs or did I say Black Print?
Hold on. You said ThrowBLKs.
Okay,
we
I said
didn't introduce
ThrowBLKs.
Mark. Mark's here.
MC also as well. I feel like we're underdressed for the occasion. I tried to order like one of those spike bracelets. Couldn't get it. Tried to get my hair up. Couldn't do that either. So we're just here as we are.
I threw on my black tee. It's a little emo.
It is exclusive tea right
You
there,
see?
by the way.
Coming soon.
Josh has been dropping hints on the video versions of our shows.
In my life.
If you guys haven't seen the Black Print on video, last week's episode, any of that stuff, Josh is dropping hints as to what's coming. And I've been noticing it. I haven't said nothing, but I notice it.
Say something next time. Something coming soon.
I'll say it next time. He's got something, he's up to something.
Yeah.
I see the Instagram and the hints and the drops. There's been at least like 2-3 exclusive drops already.
Follow the thread, follow the Instagram, follow the Facebook. I just found out I have ain't shit funny Facebook. I didn't know.
When did you do that?
My team told me.
Oh, his team. Oh man, the drop was mute. His team.
We all got teams.
There it is. You guys are my team. You know what I mean? I think with the three of us, we're the Black Green Day.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we could be that.
We could be the Black Green Day.
This is Billy Joe.
Okay.
This is Billy Joe Armstrong.
I don't know. I want to be Trey Cool because he had a cool name.
I could be Billy Joe.
Yeah, you could be Billy Joe because you're the outspoken one, and we'll get
wearing eyeliner and shit.
Eyeliner Josh would kill me.
And of course, thank you guys for being so patient for this episode. I think last month got like super crazy. We had to do a lot of different stuff, and then I think we changed course. So this is what happened with this episode of ThrowBLKs. And let me get the white balance thing off the table.
Yes, let's go ahead and explain what happened.
We had initially announced De La Soul, and I said stakes is high, and then somehow we said De La Soul. What was the first album? 3 Feet High and Rising. So one day we chilling, and I'm thinking it's still stakes is high. I'm still thinking that.
Okay.
And Josh texts our group chat and says, "This fucking sucks."
Yeah. I'm sorry. And honestly, I have a lot of respect for De La Soul. I love what they brought to the game. I'm actually a really big fan of like their last album, the cover where their mouths were like tied in knots. You want to remember that? Was that De La Soul? That might not have been De La Soul.
I was about to say Grind Date. That's like that's the one that people say like.
I remember Grind Date was actually really good too.
Grind Date's fire.
Yeah, they had my shit on there with
MF Doom.
Yeah, but they had the song with
Yummy?
what's the song?
Yummy?
Yummy, yeah. Yummy Bing, I think.
Yeah, that's a sample that
Yummy Bingham.
Sample the LTD Love Ballad. Sampled that song from a long time ago. So when I saw you text, this fucking sucks, I said, "Yep, we're not doing this. We're not doing this episode on this album. It's not gonna happen."
We'll get to it sooner than later. It's on streaming now. Give us some time to live with us.
I feel like we should just leave it because here's my thing. Number one, I didn't want to talk about an album that we didn't like. You know what I mean?
And I don't think me saying this sucks doesn't mean I don't like it.
I just don't think we had conversation.
Yeah, conversation and a lot of context. I think that's one that maybe we bring on someone who lives with that album.
Right.
It came out when they were like, coming up. I got a few people in mind that I think would make sense for that. So we'll get to it. Like I said before, tremendous respect for De La Soul and what they brought to hip hop. And my hip hop character wouldn't be here without De La Soul.
Right.
So definitely want to honor them and give them their proper flowers.
Of course. And honestly, we should honestly do De La Soul is Dead. I feel like that's the album that has the most conversational value and stuff like that. I feel like Stakes is High is too whiny. 3 Feet High and Rising is way too, I don't want to say experimental, but it's rough. It's a rough album. Like
it's new.
And I think that like at the time, I think people felt that way too. I think a lot of people call it classic. I actually think De La Soul is Dead is better, and that's one of my favorite albums of all time. So like I actually have a lot of. I mean, I got into that album when I was in high school, not when it came out. You know what I mean? So it was definitely something that was different in my childhood. So we changed gears. And we said, yo, let's just go ahead and do the alternative. Let's do our alternative shit. And let's get into a rock album. And Josh had the sage wisdom to say, let's just go ahead and do Green Day.
Yeah, Green Day, American Idiot.
Idiot.
This was a pivotal album in my life, believe it or not.
Wow.
I remember the day I bought it.
and I think this pivotal for a lot of things. And I want to just like go ahead and like get right into it. I think that it's interesting in the first few episodes of ThrowBLKs, right? That we're in this time period, and I don't want people to think that like we're not doing it intentionally, but I think that we gravitate towards the 2001, 2002, 2003, 2004 period because that was a shift in hip hop, in music in general. Like the music got angrier, the style changed. We were kind of living in a bubble, so to speak.
Yeah, I wouldn't even say it got angry. I think the music just got more intentional.
Yeah.
I think before that period, you had a lot of music that was, poppy and flashy, and you had like kind of like the bling bling era, and it needed something new to come in there and just give it some real intention. I think that something new to me, and just I think was really just the Bush and the war.
Yeah.
I think that really changed everyone's mind state of just like how they're gonna live.
Absolutely.
And 9/11, of course.
Yeah.
There was just so many moments in time that just affected us subconsciously. And I think it showed in the music that came out.
And we talked about Diplomats last episode, and we talked about their relation to 9/11 and what they did in New York. And now we kind of see the other side of the coin with Green Day and American Idiot. And just to go back and just the landscape of post 9/11 America, like artists in general became more political and intentional. To your point, I want to speak on Eminem, because this is also the same year that Encore came out with Mosh, and that was the song that I remember it being hyped as like, this is the song that George Bush doesn't want you to hear. And I was like, what? Like, and then you finally hearing this, like, what? The beat was so fucking terrible. Let me tell you.
Yeah, I didn't like Encore really. That album had Till I Collapse on it though, I think.
No, that was Eminem.
Nah, that was Eminem
shit.
show.
Yeah,
Okay,
it was the one right before. Encore was the one that had Puke and Just Lose It on it. And it's also known as the album that was so bad that in online circles at the time, and Mark, you probably remember this, a lot of people didn't believe it was the real album. People thought it was a fake album, and the real one was coming out next week. And people waited and
That's
waited.
a funny one.
They waited and waited, and it never came out. And Relapse was kind of, what could you call Relapse, MC? Like it was definitely not good, but I think it's intentional in different ways for Eminem and just showing where he was mentally at the time.
It took so long to get Relapse because Relapse ended up coming out like 5 years after Encore, and Relapse took so much time to.
I meant Encore. My bad. I said Relapse.
Oh, you meant Encore. Encore.
Well,
Okay,
Relapse was actually good. My bad. Encore. I meant Encore. Relapse was actually good. Encore was.
You like
was
Relapse?
Terrible. I liked Relapse.
It's funny. I stopped listening to Eminem after Eminem show. I'm looking right now. After that, I'm like, what are we doing?
It took so long to wait for Relapse because you got like that Shady Records project in between that, and then he told everybody like, yeah, my rehab is failing, and then by 2009 we got Relapse. But Encore in general, Encore has some really good shining moments. If you can ignore the pee and the poo jokes,
what was the shining moment? That was the album where Eminem admitted he said nigga, and he said what, and he talked about why he said, because remember Benzino exposed
he had
the tape.
the song, I remember that.
And he was like, oh, I was with a black girl, I want to call her bitch or some shit like that. that's the shining moment.
That is not the shining moment. I was going more towards the line of like Toy Soldiers.
That was the one song I liked.
Is more of a shining moment.
Yeah. Okay. Evil D's is pretty good. I thought Evil D's was cool.
Yeah, it's got some cool stuff. If you want to look at the imagery of Encore, him bowing with the gun behind his head, this being his alleged suicide album was something that, looking back at it now 20 years later is something that's crazy. But Mosh, I wasn't too crazy on Mosh. What's crazy is we as Americans actually ended up making like the bonus version of Encore, but that was already out for like a year and a half when Straight from the Lab, that's like one of like the biggest bootlegs I would say in rap, probably in music, came out like a year and a half prior, where again, Eminem is ending up talking about a lot of things that are going on in America, things that are going on with George Bush, so on and so forth. And he brings the perspective of that on we as Americans as well. So yeah, like we said, Eminem is going into a much different place outside of, the pee and the poo that we got on
and the rape jokes and I want to kill myself jokes.
Yeah, calling that one of the biggest bootlegs in music history is crazy.
It is.
Is it not?
It is.
Is it?
Yes. It's between Get Rich or Die Trying or Encore, Because Encore
Straight from the Lab. That had Bully on it. That had We as Americans. That had Do Re Mi on it. They had the part where they responded to Ja Rule. I think it was All of Murder Inc. And they had Haley on the intro, and she was talking about Ja Rule's kids, and Eminem laughed at the end. That was Do Re Mi.
And
right?
I think there was a lot of conversation about Haley saying that shit too, where she was just like, "You calling black kids dirty?"
Think about it.
Like Eminem was doing a lot of shit back then he can't do today.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Social media would have killed him.
He was doing a lot of shit back then he couldn't do. That's why he probably said he lays low. But Eminem wasn't the only person that was getting more political, more intentional, more angry. I think something funny that happened between 2001 and 2004 was like the Dixie Chicks was banging on niggas.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And they was like, "Yo, we not white people was fucking mad."
Yeah, they were hating on Bush.
Yeah.
What happened to this fire?
It's still around.
They said we're not fucking with the war, as I think a lot of people were saying. But the thing that fucked up the Dixie Chicks is, though, you can't go on country. When you're doing it with country music and they say, oh, they're going against the American flag. Burn all the CDs, run them over with a steamroller. You can't do that in country. Alternative music, rock music, rap music, that has always been so anti-establishment that it was kind of like a little bit more accepted than it was in country music.
Yeah, and we were 3 years into the war at this point. I think the major point of contention in 2004 was the presidential election.
Mm-hmm.
And to my history to this point, I've never seen maybe the biggest mobilization of trying to get young people to vote. I couldn't vote at this point, of course.
Yeah.
But like you had so many people talking about how important this election was. Mm-hmm. Don't let the ballot shit happen again. Who was it this time? It was Romney. No, it wasn't Romney. It was fucking
John Kerry.
John Kerry. And I was like, this nigga look like a Resident Evil zombie, nigga. Like, I couldn't. Even when I was younger, I was like, this nigga running the country? I haven't seen this nigga since. Yeah. But it was very intentional to a point where we seen things like musicians starting to kind of care about this type of shit.
Yep.
And this is where we got Vote or Die.
Yep. Marathon Diddy,
Mohawk Diddy.
Yeah.
He said he wanted to make voting cool and sexy. So
I just remember he used to sell those shirts at Macy's. That was like he really made some money off that.
It was a campaign. Like, and think about how fucked up that is that like thousands of people are dying every single day on both ends.
Mm-hmm.
And you have somebody like hawking Vote or Die t-shirts to us. Like capitalism got different by that point.
Capitalism rules the world. And they found a good cause to rally around. I think no matter what, voting in that time was very important.
Mm-hmm.
I think that might have backfired on them though. Vote or die. Just because you had everyone, they were like, vote or die. All right, we're about to vote for Bush.
Yeah, but it was in a lot of ways, like when I look back at it, at that point, Americans were still very angry and scared. And to have Kerry there saying, I'm gonna pull him out. You can't say that yet.
Yeah.
It's too early, and there were too many people that had passed away at that point. But also, the landscape was like much different from like the 70s and Vietnam when people wanted, there was like that movement of people who wanted to pull out.
Because to your earlier point about like everyone being so against the war, there's a lot of people on the other side that was just like, yeah, let's go get them.
Yeah.
I saw both sides of the coin, and I kind of understood why, in retrospect, I understand why a Bush wins. You see it nowadays when you have, Trump and what's going on there. So having more understanding of the situation, you see just like, people are really protective of the flag.
Yeah.
In America. And we felt like we were under attack from 9/11 on.
Mm-hmm.
And, we were just ready for it.
You had to take your shoes off at the air. This is where it started.
Yeah, this is where it started.
You had to take your shoes off. No more smoking on that shit. I think that had already stopped, but you couldn't do a lot of stuff. Like TSA had stepped their fucking game up. I remember the queues to get on a flight after 9/11 had jumped up to like 90 minutes.
Oh yeah. Like
it got really crazy as they figured it out, how to do all of this stuff. And it was a really contentious time, and it was really tough. So like seeing how many people not only, I feel like in a lot of ways, Josh, people use that fear to not only like get us to buy stuff, but also get us to vote at that point. Like people definitely utilize that fear to get us to do what they wanted to do.
Yeah, get us to get shots. They do use that fear.
The same shot you got.
I'm just saying, I was cleaning up my house today and I saw the vaccine card. I was like, remember this?
I remember it, yes.
I was like, this is crazy.
No, it's not.
I threw it away. What the fuck is this?
No, you didn't.
It's on your phone.
I threw my vaccine card away today.
Because it's on your phone.
It's on my phone, but it's like, when's the last time you've actually used it?
It's been about 2 years.
Yeah. So, but yeah.
But the thing is that the fear was in a way you're right. I'm you're right.
They use fear to get you to do things. It's
But they do use fear, but
they need to use fear to get niggas to eat organic.
I don't do that. Yeah, I don't have no fear.
They need fear. They need to use fear properly. They're not using fear right. I'm sorry. They need to use fear for a lot of other things.
Christ.
The good thing, at least from a music perspective, I don't think it has changed. Even between 2004 and, like you said, in the 70s. Niggas wanted Nixon out. They put in the music. Marvin Gaye, what's going on, even though some people did not really agree with, the way that he was approaching that album that ends up being one of the more political records that I guess you could say that people try and use. 80s, they wanted out of Russia. They told Reagan, let's get out of here. 90s, they had their records as well.
Yeah.
In 2004, we end up being where we are right now. And 2004 ends up being a pretty difficult time. This is now 3 years removed from 9/11. I would say that it's probably been at least a year or so since the actual bombings began. I ended up pinpointing that in my head just based off the South Park episode. But yeah, it's a crazy time, especially for me right now in 2004 as a 13-year-old. You guys are around the same age as well. This circle is going through some pretty tough times, as it kind of feels like right now with a lot of kids in 2023.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it like how Pusha T said. Yeah, the chase was wild, but what the fuss about? That's how it was after that shit happened in my neighborhood.
Yeah,
it was like whatever. I think the most that we got was the fact that like music channels and radio was all fucked up for like a month.
Oh really?
You couldn't watch no TV. Remember MTV?
Oh
wasn't
yeah,
playing shit.
there was a straight war. 9/11, all that bullshit.
Yeah, they was playing like
right.
the new MTV was playing the news, and then they played nothing but a straight block of music videos with like people in between it talking about their experiences on 9/11.
Yeah,
BET was completely shut the fuck down.
That was crazy.
As a kid, there was fucking nothing.
You know what's wild? Back then, I was a big Food Channel person.
Wow.
So I was watching the Food Channel. They was regular programming.
They was running?
It was regular programming. Emerald Lagasse.
Nowadays, they would have had a Cake Wars 9/11 on Food Network by this point.
That'd have been crazy.
They'd been like, yeah, give me your best. Give me your best. That's how crazy the fucking world is today. Yeah. I'm literally reeling from the fact that I watched 5 minutes of that TikTok live girl today.
Oh yeah, I watched a few minutes. That's just scary. Honestly, that shit scares me.
It does scares me.
We're gonna talk about this in the regular show later this week, but that shit literally scares me.
It's crazy.
Not even like it scares me. Like I'm looking at her and the emotes she's making scare me.
You don't like human NPCs?
No, that shit's scary. I don't like NPCs. I think that's just a little weird to me. And video games are scary to me sometimes. That's why I said Max Payne. Like, remember the fiends in Max Payne?
Yeah, but how are NPCs in video games scary?
They're just, I don't know. Like, they're scary to me.
Just stand there and do nothing?
Yeah, like, it just, sometimes, like, I'll be playing, like, GTA or some shit. I'm like,
I'll say GTA 5 and Red Dead Redemption 2, for one. The NPCs in Red Dead Redemption 2 actually go about their day.
Yeah,
Have you ever followed one of them?
It's shit just scary to me. I don't know. Man.
Like, the NPCs in Red Dead will, like, go home, go to sleep, they'll wake up, do all this shit. Like, they need to make realistic NPCs that like react to shit. Like Red Dead was ahead of its time, but
it's coming. GTA 6, it's coming. Just know.
Is it?
I fear what is on the way with this next Grand Theft Auto. It's at least 10 years of technology coming.
Oh my god! Imagine GTA 6 with what we have now and how niggas is on Twitter. Kai Cenat probably gonna be in that shit. Low key. Like the way this shit going right now, like it's gonna be a Twitch mode in that bitch. Like I have no clue what to expect. What I want to get into is rock and the Black household.
Oh yeah.
And you mentioned it earlier. This was you remember buying this album. I had actually got on rock music a little bit earlier because I was a big fan of TRL back in the day. TRL and 106 in Park was like, it was neck and neck. It was like after TRL, got to watch 106 in Park, and I was getting into all of that shit. And I was the first band that I think I actually had a connection with was fucking Korn.
Yeah.
That is the one.
No, I remember Korn. I remember that Follow the Leader album. I was big on Korn too. My cousin actually my cousin put me on a lot of different music, but he was big into the rock shit too. And I remember I would just hear shit and be like, okay, this sounds cool. So like Incubus, Korn, Rage Against the Machine, who all had a little hip hop leaning kind of feel to them. I feel like to me personally, Green Day was the first band that really didn't lean so much into the hip hop shit, even though they did have moments on the album. Like, there's a song on there that has like a break beat kind of in the beginning of it. And we'll get to it later. But yeah, that for me, it was like just by proxy of my cousin.
Yeah.
And the first band that I kind of like fell in love with was Green Day.
And they had so many classic fucking songs. The cover for Dookie is one of the most iconic covers I've ever seen. When I first saw it, I said, they can fucking do that? Like niggas can actually do that and put the songs out and actually, have it look like fucking a poo, like farts in the air. Like that was crazy. It was Blink-182, Running Naked.
Blink-182 was another one.
The late 90s was like a treasure trove, especially for kids, our age, to actually get into some different music. I feel like that type of discovery is still around, but in a different way. It's now through like word of mouth is a lot bigger. Like not like back then it was so easy because we watched so much TV for a channel to tell us what was cool and tell us what to watch. And it was easy to just kind of fall in line with that shit. So it was dope to, again, come up in that era. And then that was when new metal was coming up. So Limp Bizkit, of course, was coming out. They was working with DMX. They was, doing all that shit. But I want to know, what was it like in your household when your mom or your dad or anybody in there found out you was listening to these niggas?
Nah, I remember buying this album. I was on the family reunion. I was coming back from a family reunion in Houston. And I think we just stopped at the mall, Galleria. And there might have been Sam Goody I think it was Sam Goody.
R.I.P.
So I was like, man, we're going to Sam Goody. I'm like, let me get a CD before we go on this plane or whatever. So I'm like, I want the Green Day CD.
Oh, shit.
So my mom was like, all right, whatever you need, go get it. So I remember they only had the clean version on the shelves. Yeah. The explicit version was like behind the employees. So I like told my mom like, yo, I want that CD. And she was like, why is it behind them? Like, what's on this CD? Like, what's going on? I'm like, it's just a rock album. Like, so then I bought it, listened to it on the plane, and I was just like, this shit is amazing. Like,
it's hard.
Yeah, and just like, I think beyond, I probably had seen something on TRL or MTV or something like that. But beyond just seeing it on TV, I think for me, another thing that really stamped it in my household was Madden 05. It had one of the songs on there. I think it was American Idiot. Or it might have been Holiday.
I think it's Holiday.
Yeah, it was Holiday. And I just remember playing the game and just always hearing that song over and over again. I was like, yo, this shit's fire.
And again, it's that discovery angle. And I think, I feel like in a lot of like households, like my mom didn't really care too much about cussing and rap CDs, but if you brought a rock home CD or a rock CD home, it was always the tried and true. Is this devil shit? It's the tried and true. Guitars is devil shit. And I told her one day, like, but that, like, I like literally said, but black people used to play guitars back in the day. And then she was like, shut up. And I was like, all right. Like, and another, like, and again, I was a huge Korn fan. She actually bought me Follow the Leader for my birthday. It was like my 9th birthday, I think. And 9th or 10th, because it was what, 97? It was my 10th birthday. And I remember I was such a big fan of all their albums, and they had their one album, Issues. That was the album that had the South Park tie-in, which was like next level at that point, because they premiered the song on South Park, which was, again, shit that don't happen today. I got like C's on my report card one time, 2 C's, and she fucking took my CD, looked at the fucking back. Why was there a song on there called Trash? So she said, what is this shit? It's because you get these C's because you listen to this shit. And she said, oh, trash? Yeah, that's what the fuck this is. And she tossed it into the trash.
She hit the bow wow
away. She threw it the fuck away for over 2 C's. I had to fucking rebuy it. That's how deep it was.
What were the C's in?
I was wilding in 7th grade, yo. I'm not gonna lie. I was wilding. Like, it's 7th grade. Like, that's what 7th grade is when you first start like seeing girls. Like, when you first start, like, you know what I'm saying? Like fucking with all types of different shit. You start cutting up in class. I think it might have been algebra for sure. For sure. I've never been a math kid. And it was also probably social studies. I was probably fucking up in those 2 classes. It's not even fucking up. Is it fucking up? Is it C fucking up?
C's fucking up.
No, it's not.
I was a good student, man.
D is fucking up.
I should get good grades.
D is fucking up.
You can't. Hey, I'm not coming to the house if I got a D. I'm just gonna let you
exactly.
know.
Here's my thing. If you are a great kid, you get straight A's or you get B on a roll, A on a roll, whatever, your whole way through, and you get 2 C's. Okay, get mad, but don't get that fucking mad.
The niggas used to steal their report cards before their parents see it.
Yes, that happens.
I've done that a few times.
But then what happened? They used to pin that shit to you.
Oh, no, I used to come
they used
to
to
house.
pin it to you.
My teachers at my school used to pin that shit to you, and they say we'll know if you ripped it off because we pinned it to you and we're gonna call. That's like the double whammy. It should have came home pinned to him.
When I moved down to Florida, they did it different. They told parents, "Hey, we got a website to check the grades. Here's your login. So I was like, oh, fuck. But then, hey, my mom didn't really know how to do all that login stuff at that point in time. She
made you set it up.
How to work a computer, but she wasn't so like that. So if there was a certain moment that we had to change a couple things, just hop on Microsoft Picture It at that point in time.
You're good. Yeah,
Mix up a little bit.
They should just send my shit home, and I should just intercept it.
How is niggas intercepting it though?
My dad wasn't checking the mail like that, or when he was, I was checking the mail. Like, okay, this is my shit.
I would just be sitting like silent, like rocking back and forth.
And it used to come almost like a check. You know, you can like it has that black film.
Yeah,
yeah.
Rip it off. Rub that shit, so like you can rub out the grade damn near, like just it's black.
You'd be like, what is this?
It's a B. It's a B. Yeah, man, I did good.
Grade hustle is crazy, and in 2004 was definitely like the year of the grade hustle. But I think that again, I wonder, and I brought this up on Amp Radio as well. Like, I wonder, like, what's gonna be that moment, or what's that moment for kids today? Like, what's gonna be that moment? Because like that discovery was awesome, and then there's so many bands, and now all of them are like legacy acts, and there's nothing left.
I feel like for kids nowadays, that discovery is just happening on TikTok, and it's not so much the big TikTok records, but it's like them discovering their favorite underground act, like Mindy or Smino or someone like that. And beyond just the hip hop genre, they're just discovering new bands and shit like that, and be like, "Oh, this is cool."
What do you think made a lot of these? Because I know that a lot of people say like everyone will bring up Korn, everyone will bring up Limp Bizkit, like, and that's like no shame whatsoever. People will say that they like them. Why people actually have shame when they say they like these things? Like it's actually like a thing where it's just like I listened to Limp Bizkit, that was a terrible time for me, and I'm like, that wasn't really like.
Yeah,
shit was hard for the time.
Because you look back at it, it's almost like listening to like Nelly. It sounds like a joke, but it's like it'd be hard pressed to find a hip hop fan like Nelly. That's my shit.
Really?
You will.
Okay,
but it also feels very in the moment.
Yeah,
doesn't feel like it aged really well. I think that's what it is.
I always wonder what made these acts like Paramore and stuff like. And Paramore, they're still going today. To their credit, they're like 10 years strong in this shit. But what makes them Black people friendly, so to speak?
No, you know what it
BPF.
is? I think it's the swing in a lot of the music. Like I listen to a lot of we listened to Green Day just this past week, and I'm like, yo, like even though this isn't a black song or a hip hop song or R&B song, it has a swing to it. Yeah. And even songs like Extraordinary Girl, it starts off with a break beat and then it just goes into some rock shit. So it's like they just always had that feel. And just from doing my research on this album, like I was reading an interview that Billy Joe Armstrong did, and he mentioned being inspired by hip hop, and Outkast in particular, and how much Outkast, like how ambitious they were about their music, and just like how they incorporated different sounds, and like how he felt like at the time rock was stale, but the rap guys are really pushing boundaries,
and they kept pushing, and they kept pushing. So let's just go ahead and get into the making of American Idiot. I think that and we love this album. It's a great album, but I love the story behind it because it has so many layers. It starts with like Green Day, and they had their album Warning that came out in 2000, and they went back to the lab for American Idiot. But at this time, the band was kind of contentious with each other. Like they were fighting with each other. They weren't really fucking with each other. Like one of them, I think one of them said like, "Oh, we should do a greatest hits album," and they were like, "Yo, nigga, that means we're." He didn't say nigga. He said, "Oh," he said. Did he? He said, "Nah, that means that our career is over if we got a greatest hits album." And they were on the verge of breaking up before they came up with an idea where they said, let's make our own 30-second songs and let's play them for each other. And it basically became a competition with all of them where they were like, yo, let's come up with the best 30-second song, and whatever's the best one, we'll make an actual album out of it or make a song out of it. And that's where you get a lot of the inspiration for songs on American Idiot.
It's funny enough to that point, or to that story, all the 30-second songs are what made Suburban Jesus?
Jesus of Suburbia.
Jesus of Suburbia. And that song is so amazing because it's like, it sounds like 30 seconds. Sounds like 3 different 30-second songs.
Yeah.
And it's just dope, like how they did that and how that tied the whole album together. I don't know. It's just such an interesting process that isn't really. I haven't seen anyone replicate that, and I can't see that in hip hop even.
How familiar with you with like how rock albums are created? Because I always find it interesting how they create them from I always used to be like, how do they play? Does everyone play at the same time and then they record it? I'm like, no, the guitar person plays their part, the other person plays their part, then the vocals play their part, and they put it together.
Yeah.
And I always thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, no, I've seen it. I've heard of it being done that way. I've also seen it being done where they just are all playing at the same time. I've seen like hip hop bands do that before. Yeah. But yeah, how they recorded this album is they wrote everything, demoed everything, then went in and recorded it in layers like that.
I was going to say, I am actually interested in one thing that Josh said. The mindset of trying to, idealize what a rap variant of something like a Jesus of Suburbia would be, because reading on Jesus of Suburbia, I ended up seeing that Billy Joe Armstrong wanted to make his own, he wanted to have his own Bohemian Rhapsody. Yeah. And that ends up being a huge, huge thing because so many people take to heart, oh my God, it's one of the biggest, best writing, best recording, longest songs, one of the best records of all time. There's no way that anybody could make another Bohemian Rhapsody. But I started thinking about it and I started realizing, I don't really see that quote too much in hip hop. And I try to stay away from that mindset just a little bit because, the realities between rock and rap are always so different. And a rock fan's mind will always be, well, there could never be a Bohemian Rhapsody in hip hop. But there's never really the artist that's like, yeah, I wanted to make my own version of Good Kid, Mad City, or I wanted to make my own version of Get Rich or Die Trying. You see it sometimes. On Good Kid, Mad City, Kendrick said one of the records on Section 80, he said it resembled Brenda's Got a Baby. So it's not like it doesn't happen in hip hop, but it's not really too much of a moment with some of the artists that are out today that is like, yeah, I wanted to replicate something that meant a lot to me 10, 15 years prior.
It's funny. I think to your point, I think YG in My Crazy Life was trying to be that Good Kid, Mad City moment for him at least. But I think to that point, it's like hip hop isn't that intentional right now. Yeah, kind of just a collection of songs. I think the person who is probably doing that the best, Kendrick, but then also Travis Scott. I don't even know if it's like replicating, but I think he looks at these grandiose albums that Kanye and the people he are inspired by made, and he's trying to make his own version of that currently. Someone who does that on a smaller level is actually fucking Lucky. Like if you listen to Lucky's music, like he's just remaking Chief Keef songs. Okay. He's paying homage to Lil Uzi Vert.
I haven't heard his new project yet.
It's pretty good. I like it. But it's just like, yeah, like you listen to a song, you're like, oh, he's inspired by Chief Keef. But it makes sense. He's from Chicago.
I feel like, and again, like you said, it's not intentional enough. I'm like, I think that's why nothing is really sticking. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's like there are definitely albums that people are talking about things, but it's not part of like the kind of the zeitgeist right now. It's not what people really want to hear. I don't really know what people want to hear right now in hip hop, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I don't know. Hip hop is in a really weird place. I was going to tweet this the other day, but I was like, I don't even feel like starting a conversation. But I feel like the first 6 months of the year, the superstars of hip hop kind of just gave a runway for all the young cats and whoever want to pop their hand up and be like, hey, I'm next. And no one popped their hand up. So now you got, the superstars coming back around. You got Drake dropping soon. You got Travis dropping soon. You got Future dropping soon. And I don't know when we're going to see the next hip hop superstar. I don't even know who it is.
Yeah, because they can't do this forever. Those three aren't going to do this forever, or they're not going to do it in the same clip forever that they've been doing it at. And that's been my main concern. I always remember, and I know we're like off topic here, but I always remember saying like, if Chance the Rapper can get it right, he could have been that one. Yeah. And then I don't know what happened. He fumbled it that. He could have been that one.
Just being too independent, I feel like artists, especially hip hop artists, just think that they just got it made. Yeah. And if you look at any type of art, it's like you gotta kind of pay homage and lean into the predecessors to get to that next point. Exactly. Look at anybody who's done it. Yeah. Drake's done it with Wayne. Kendrick's done it with Dr. Dre. Like Travis has done it with Kanye West. So it's like, and I don't know, the newer hip hop stars tend to not do that. Thug with Lil Wayne. And, it's interesting, man. Like, that's why they kind of fall off the wayside and really don't get to that superstar level.
And to your point, like it was Billy Joe and Green Day thinking, we want to make like an opera. This is going to be like an opera. And having that mindset, I just don't feel like people make albums with that mindset no more. You know what I mean? Where it's like, we want to make something that people feel, fuck the sales, fuck all of that shit. We want to make something that people feel and it's genuine. And you could feel that in this album, but they felt very intentional in doing that, because when they had those 30-second songs, they came out with Jesus of Suburbia, and that kicks everything off for the creation of that album. They did the album in Oakland. How crazy is that?
Well, they're from the Bay. They're from like the East Bay area.
Yeah.
And one thing about this album I always go back to is it's a very California album.
Absolutely.
Like, it sounds like driving with your windows down on the freeway. So, and it just sounds like Venice Beach Skate Park.
Yeah.
Like, it just feels very California when you listen to it. So, them recording it in LA was just like chef's kiss. Or they recorded part of it in Oakland and part of it in Hollywood.
Yeah. And I think like even more than that is like how they kind of rally, and a bunch of the lyrics on the album against subliminal messaging that's going on in the news and that's going on with politics. But I was like, this is also kind of subliminal in some way, where, like you said, it sounds like something that it isn't.
Yeah.
Like they're actually saying something on all these songs, and people are just listening to the chorus.
I feel like a lot of that shit wouldn't fly nowadays. Like,
No.
I can't see a band coming in and dropping the F-bomb, and
Oh, we're gonna talk about that.
it's
in a
like some
second.
Hail Hitler lines, and it's like it just wouldn't really, even metaphorically,
Yeah.
wouldn't fly.
Part
in
of the
this day and
story,
age.
yeah.
But it worked, and I think them prefacing the album with like, "Hey, this is an opera and a story, and we're trying to tell a story," was very important, because it just helped you conceptualize the album.
And to the point of the politics of the album, when coming up with the theme of it, and the Jesus of Suburbia thing is just wild. It's about a kid who's growing up on like Ritalin and soda or some shit like
But
that. And
that was the kid of that damn
It was.
age. That was us.
Yeah.
Like
The American way.
Yeah, we
Mhm.
grew up on TV, latchkey kids, eating fast food for lunch and dinner. Like, so it very much was a characterization of the teenage kid at the moment.
the post 9/11 teenage kid, again, he's taking Ritalin, anxiety riddled and stuff like that. Like, they were really catching the pulse of what was going on in the world at that point. And I think what Billy Joe kind of said, I think it was either him or Trey Cool, they said, there's something that's not right. I think one of them said, something is not fucking right, and somebody's got to say something. And I think having that attitude going into American Idiot is why it feels so genuine to me.
Yeah.
Because it felt like they came on there and they really had something to say. And I feel like I learned so much about these three doing this fucking this episode. I'm like, damn, like I really respect the shit that they was going for, because there aren't enough people. Like, people are too scared, I think, now. And I don't know if they would do that today. Well, actually, they're still the same the way that they were back then that they are today. But I don't know if a lot of people would take that stance that they would today. I feel like Kendrick, again, is the only one that would stand up and say, yes, I said this. I said it in this context. You guys aren't listening.
Yeah, no, it's not too many artists I want to even give us that. And yeah, to your point, it's like Kendrick, and I can't really think of who else.
Nobody.
You might have like I don't know, Killer Mike.
Killer Mike, you know where he's standing. You know
But
what
it's
I'm
just
saying?
like, at least he's standing somewhere, standing on something, I think, so it's really dry out here for like political music.
Yeah.
And when you do get it, it's very much like, I don't know, it's just not as creative as it could be.
They didn't care about pissing nobody off. And we'll let's just get right into the album. American Idiot. Really just kind of like a teardown of everything that's going on. This song was everywhere.
Yeah.
This song was
Everywhere.
fucking everywhere.
Movies.
Commercials.
Yeah.
And that's why I say about the subliminalness of the song. I'm like, yeah, they took that sync deal, but they was like, hey, whatever's in the actual lyrics, that's on y'all. Like, we just took the money, because there's a lot of stuff in here. He says, we got to get to the second verse where he says, well, maybe I'm the F, America. Let
They used to
me tell
bleep it
you.
really loud.
Let me tell you, I didn't know that he said this. I didn't know.
What do you think he said?
I only heard the edited version before I heard this version. Like,
Wow.
even when I'll be clear, I've heard half of this album clean back in the day.
Sure.
I hadn't heard the whole thing fully through, and I don't even know. And again, big shouts out to Josh for even suggesting it, because I hadn't thought about this album in years. So, and it's almost 20 years old now. So, like, it was really interesting going back to it and hearing what they were talking about, because back in the day, I did not know what the fuck was going on.
No, and that makes a ton of sense. I feel like in that day and age, music was very much censored.
Mhm.
I always think
Oh,
about
yeah.
the Black Eyed Peas and like, let's get retarded in here.
Yeah.
But let's get it started. They pretty much erased that song.
That
The original version.
is not on streaming.
They
No,
erased
it actually is gone. Yeah, it actually
Yeah.
is gone now.
It's gone. And but think about, we was jamming to that shit back in the
Yeah.
day.
I mean, that shit was, I remember that was like the NBA song.
Yes.
And once that happened, they started to erase the past one. I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah. Like that was the NBA. It was like the playoff song.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
that was a big song.
Niggas was.
Yeah, well, I am.
I was gonna say, but do keep in mind, when you read it, if this is the first time, and for anybody that's listening to this episode, if you are hearing this record for the first time and you do hear this second line, Billy Joel Armstrong is somebody that came out as bisexual, and this term was something that was pretty prevalent. Let's just say at that time in 2004.
Hey, be real, it was prevalent everywhere.
Yeah, movies, music.
It was prevalent everywhere. And I think even in that second line, he says, I'm not part of the redneck agenda. That goes right into it because that's what they was calling him. Because as crazy as it may seem to a lot of people, like it wasn't okay to be that back in the day. You know what I mean? It was even as bad. And I mean, for a lot of people, it isn't today, but it was even less so.
But also, I think that's what a lot of people associated rock music with.
Yeah.
And that's where they were like, yo, we make this type of music, but we ain't that. That was what they were trying to get across.
That's a good point. Yeah. That's a good point. Like, and again, it was. I love how, and I love this word we keep saying in the show, is how intentional it was. It was basically like, this is the first song on the album. This is what we rocking with. So if you don't fuck with it, you might as well just
skip. Yeah,
yeah. But like, fuck, they do the case like, turn it off. If you a bitch ass nigga, like turn this shit off because it's not for you. But I think this is also really the quintessential sound and vibe and swing of a rock single at that moment. Like it was the moment. Like you hear it and you're like, damn, this is 2000s right here.
Yeah.
Like you go back to it, it's like, oh, I remember where I was exactly when I heard this song. Like and again, like I'm gonna say this a lot. Like I didn't know how deeply they were getting into how the culture was back in the day. But go back and listen to the song, read the lyrics, and study it. Like that is the capsule of what 2004 was like post 9/11. Yep. It was a bunch of redneck niggas shooting niggas.
Because you gotta think
going
about
crazy.
It. After 9/11, it was just that was when patriotism was at its highest.
Yeah.
And Billy Joe Armstrong even talks about it. It's like he was riding and heard Leonard Skinner, How to Like It, I think it's called. And he was like, I think in the song they mentioned like being proud to be a redneck. He was like, what? Hell no. He's like, I'm the direct opposite of this. I have to get this message out. And literally he wrote it after hearing that song.
Do you remember the South Park They Took Our Jobs episode? That's the mentality that I look at that post 9/11 type mentality in the United States.
You know, it's crazy. South Park's been referenced 3 times. I've never watched that show.
Really?
Never watched
Stop it.
Never watched
Stop
it.
You've never watched South Park?
I watched a couple episodes. I know the like Kenny's dad joke. I might have watched a couple episodes just because I know that much of
Never,
it.
ever?
Never been a fan.
That's cool.
Never. Not one, not even 10 minutes of an episode?
Josh, I might have watched.
Might have been too immature. You were like 10.
I just always been super immature to me.
I want people to understand South Park had the world in a head. It's funny now. Like you can just see it randomly on Comedy Central and it's like, oh, South Park's on. But the headlock that this show had on America, not just us sitting here on the show, or not just a couple of people of South Park fans, the whole nation between South Park. It should be. You should probably know how crazy it is.
There's I could give you 10 top South Park episodes.
I was a Simpsons guy.
That's everyone says that in opposition.
They
to
have
South Park.
Park has an episode about that.
I just never been a big fan of it. I watched Simpsons, Family Guy. I was on Fox, so I wasn't really watching. I was on Comedy Central. I was watching fucking Dave Chappelle.
But I was like 03, 04. South Park was already in like season 7 or 8.
I know. I just never was.
Would you ever go back and watch it?
My homegirl's trying to get me to watch it. I'm like, yeah. If Mark watches The Wire, maybe I'll watch it.
You know what? I will virtually shake your hand. I will virtually shake your hand there.
Okay.
I will suggest though.
Really?
I will suggest though, don't run away after season 1. Season 1 is like it's some of the jokes that a lot of huge South Park fans will love and laugh at and so on and so forth. If it's too crass, don't run away. It gets better.
I've never watched a full season. I've probably watched a couple episodes. I've absolutely played the video game.
the one on 64 where they have like the
you
gun.
Could pee and throw pee.
Yep. Pee snowballs.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely played the video game.
Listen, man, I want to know about this handshake. Why can't you just do that? Like Josh will we could literally have a whole segment on that if you just watch The Wire.
I'm gonna watch The Wire.
This motherfucker was talking about watching The Idol before watching The Wire.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I don't even understand that. So what?
It's 5 episodes.
It's not good.
Terrible episodes.
It's not good. The Wire is actually good.
Well, I do have some time. I did just finish Ted Lasso. Ted Lasso series finale. Whoo, amazing.
Ted Lasso.
That Wire series finale. Whoo, crazy.
Way better show than
All
Ted
right,
Lasso.
well, I'll get to it. It hasn't been topped yet, right? There's no TV show that's topped it.
What is before? That doesn't even make any sense. What is before The Wire that is like? It's literally like a show you could throw on and be like, "Yo, this is actually really cool."
Nah,
you could do an episode a day.
I have to be really attentive. If this is the greatest TV show of all time, I have to be attentive.
You stop prefacing with that because it sounds condescending.
Have you watched Sopranos?
No, and it's not condescending. I really mean it. If this is what people mean is the best TV show of all time, I want to be attentive.
Yeah, you gotta watch The Wire.
You was attentive to Ted Lasso though.
Yeah,
was I? I mean, I just watched it. You finished it.
What's your favorite dramas?
My favorite drama? See, this is gonna be tough because I'm not really a big TV guy.
Yeah, we're about to get into this on the Black Print.
Yeah, the handshake,
crazy.
The handshake perturbed me. That's all. I just had to get to it. But let's get to the next song on the album. This is like the 8-minute epic, Jesus of Suburbia. They start right off with the song that kind of prefaced and started this whole thing off here.
Mm-hmm.
I got a couple like, it's a long song, okay? Like to go without saying, but there's a couple lines in here that got me again. Kind of bringing in the personal experiences, but also showing how they mimic and mirror what's going on today. He says on the second verse after the very long musical interlude, he says, "The living room or my private womb with the moms and brads are away. To fall in love and fall in debt to alcohol and cigarettes and Mary Jane. To keep me insane doing someone else's cocaine." God damn.
Yeah, that was America.
That was
a broken home in America at the time.
Exactly.
That's literally what it was.
Like there's a lot of things here that is kind of like, and this is right before kind of they do that drum solo, and that's one of those drum solos that you talk about, Josh. It's the swing of it. It's just like, yo,
you fuck with it. It's like, damn, this shit got a little R&B. I don't know what the fuck this is. It's got me tapping my feet.
So it goes to the second verse or the second part of the song. Excuse me. It's called "City of the Damned." Is the opera version of this on YouTube anywhere?
I don't know. That's why I want to watch. I should have watched it beforehand, but there's a documentary that they did about this, and there's an opera version. It's funny enough, when the opera version was running, I tried to catch it. Just didn't have anyone to go watch it with me, but
I would have went.
Yeah. This is like years ago.
Oh,
yeah.
I believe the opera soundtrack is on streaming. At least when I did see it on Apple Music, I did want to tap into it before we did American Idiot. But I will say that the revisit of this did make me want to watch the entire play, because the entire play not only plays out the entire album, but also has some other Green Day records. If you're familiar with Green Day, they also tie those into there as well.
Oh, that's hard. If they do Brain Stew, that's gonna be one of the hard. Brain Stew is one of their best songs ever to me. I love Brain Stew. Another verse from City of the Damned. He says, "At the center of the earth in the parking lot of the 7-Eleven where I was taught, the motto is just a lie. It says, home is where your heart is, but what a shame, because everyone's heart doesn't beat the same. It's beating out of time." That's poetic.
Yeah.
That 7-Eleven, there was always kids at the 7-Eleven fucking wilding out.
Yeah, they're just hanging out, just on some bullshit, and like, nah, we not the same.
And again, this is all prefaced under the character of Jesus of Suburbia. And I guess this is the prototypical, if you had to create a wrestler, create a player, 2K, this is the kid. I mean, he says dirty faces. There's children with dirty faces. He's always talking about lonely highways on this album. There's a lot of lonely highways.
You gotta think, like, this is also very much like I mentioned Latchkey Kids earlier, but it's like kids were just out there just figuring it out on their own. Like, my mom's off at 8, 9 o'clock, and I'm just out here in the streets, running around, doing drugs with my homies, learning about life with my friends, not really having direction. And I think that's what a lot of this album comments on, and I feel like that's what that line particularly was about.
Yeah, especially like home is where the heart is. It's like, no, it's not. You know what I mean?
It's like nothing's at home.
Yeah, shit's fucked up. And again, could you say that this is kind of like, and again, we get like this prototypical thing in hip hop where it's like, we came from broken homes. Teacher said we never gonna be shit. That's a rap trope at this point. Yeah. Teacher telling everybody they ain't shit.
Yeah. So it'll be cap.
But it's like you never see it from the other side, where there's actually kind of like rock artists giving you that window into that.
This is that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. This is that. And I mean, you kind of, I saw it really closely, especially like more so in high school, but just like before then, it's like, it's to hang out with the skate kids and go and I'm like, damn, like y'all really just like us. But I think hip hop had like a shinier look to it. So it's like, we're not just trying to be bums and do drugs. We trying to get fly.
Yeah.
Where I seen skate kids like, oh, I want to try heroin for the first time. Like, for real. Like, it's not even a joke. Like, that's just what they were on. Like, I just need to numb myself from this shit. Where hip hop was like, I need to get money for this because of this shit. So yeah. I think that's a little bit of what he's talking about in this song.
And then we get to the next part. It's called "I Don't Care," and that's where you have the long "I don't care if you don't care. I don't care if you don't care." And then he says, "Everyone's so full of shit. Born and raised by hypocrites. Hearts recycled but never saved. From the cradles to the grave. We are the kids of war and peace. From Anaheim to the Middle East. We are the stories and disciples of the Jesus of the suburbia." That's bars.
Yeah.
This motherfucker was spitting right there.
Nah, he gave it to you.
I want to ask a question. Do rock artists get a lot more credit for their bars than they should? I don't really see too many people mentioning Zach De La Rocha as one of the best rhymers.
I'm gonna be real, bruh. I don't feel like he like a good like rapper to me.
Rapper? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think he's a good rapper.
I don't think so either. I don't know, a lot of that shit just be like, it doesn't be as poetic as this for sure.
Yeah.
And that's why I kind of never stuck with it. Like, I listened to Blink-182 back in the day, but it's like, it didn't stick with me now, per se.
Mm-hmm.
But something like this, it's like, okay, like he's spitting, he's saying some shit.
The line, "We are the kids of war and peace," from Anaheim to the Middle East. A good shout out to SoCal there. But also talking about the amount of young adults, 20 from 19 up to 20, 25, they got shipped off to the Iraq War at this point. And I think that's the one element that not a lot of people bring up when they talk about the Iraq War, is that there were kids that were never, he says we're the kids that were born on war and peace. We were in peace. Mm-hmm. And now they got to go to the Middle East. That's the scary part about this shit, is that like, if we were to go into a war right now, we probably not going, but like some of our friends is going.
Oh yeah, no. Some people I know are going. You never know. We might be inclined to be like, I'm gonna sign up.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of this shit was going on at that time too. And I think that's a lot of where this commentary comes from, is like, patriotism was so high at the time. Mm-hmm. Even if you didn't even enlist, you was on some fuck them. Like, I'm not fucking with those Arabs. Like, it was a thing at the time. Yeah. And I think that was a lot, especially around white folks. I feel like that was not the circle he was in, but the vacuum that he was in. Yeah. And he was just trying to break out of it and speak to how he wasn't a part of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, some people had no interest in any type of fighting, any type of war, until they seen those planes go in, and then they ended up enlisting the next day. Some of the biggest days of enlisting into any of these services happened after that 2001 attack. So, and then now you get the next 3 years of patriotism, which ended up, No,
it was longer than that, Mark. It was longer than that. That shit
between 2001 and where we are now in 2004.
I think by 2008, it was like, yo, why are we still over there? By 2008, niggas was like, why are we still there again? Like,
I mean, shit, you gotta think about it. Like, we didn't really start withdrawing until
4 years ago.
Yeah,
really.
Like I was about to say, it was after Obama, low key.
Well, Biden pulled this out. What, the first year he was in, so that was like 3 years ago. I think
like Biden, Obama was like keeping us there.
Yeah, he was keeping us.
Yeah, like we really didn't get out of the Middle East until recently.
Nigga said it's too hard to get us out there. I was like, all right, nigga, you losing it. But again, like, you think about, and I want to get into some of the albums like that happened like kind of after this too one day, where the Iraq War led us directly into the recession. Mm-hmm. and like that shit.
We should do the recession. It's one of the greatest albums ever.
We should do the recession because there we go. There's a lot of, that's the American idiot of rap.
Man, Jeezy was talking that shit on the recession. That's God.
One of the greatest intros of all time. That is the addendum to this album. It's talking about it from the black side. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a good
I told you. See, the black niggas was talking about getting money.
Yeah, and Jeezy was talking. I mean, God damn, that's a good ass album. I don't want to overflow with Jeezy talk, but that's going to be on the list. Yeah. We're going to do the recession. Next song is Holiday, another single. So crazy this was a single. They put an anti-war single on the radio, and they was cool with it back in the day.
Yeah, it worked.
One of the first lines is called, "Hear the sound of the falling rain coming down like an Armageddon flame." Jesus. Hey. He was talking about they was getting hit with that Molotov on this shit.
And this was also the first that was like a 2-track. Like Holiday and then Boulevard of Broken Dreams. Yeah, so this, and honestly, I think that might have been the first time I was seeing that in music. I don't think even in rap, I didn't see the two songs together until like maybe Kanye and well, no, was it Kanye even doing that? It might have been like Travis Scott or someone.
I think it was. I know Travis for sure did.
Yeah, like that was just new to me. I was like, damn, these two songs are together like on this track.
I mean, I know a lot of R&B niggas. I know the Dream did it at one point.
Yeah, but that was like after this.
Yeah, that is true.
So yeah, I remember seeing that and being like, this is innovative.
Queen did it.
Queen, who, the rock band?
Yeah, they did it.
Never listened to them.
Oh, you never listened to Queen?
No, come on.
Why not?
You know a Queen record.
I mean, yeah, they play that shit at football games and shit.
I could send you a couple Queen joints.
They just did the movie about Queen, right?
A couple years ago.
Yes, Bohemian Rhapsody in 2020?
2019.
Yeah.
2019.
Yeah,
2019. There you go. I liked it. It wasn't as good as the Elton John one, but
one of the lines in the second verse, or really this whole thing, hear the drum pounding out of time. Another protester has crossed the line. To find the monies on the other side, can we get another amen? There's a flag wrapped around a score of men, a gag, a plastic bag on a monument. There's a lot of deep shit there. Mm-hmm. Like the flag wrapped around a score of men. He's talking about the casket with the flags over it, where people die. The protesting and stuff like that.
Talking about like us or in the Middle East, Iraq, they're protesting and knocking down statues. Mm-hmm. That was a whole thing. I remember, like, to your point earlier about like seeing all that on TV, like that shit was nonstop. Like you damn near was cheering for it. Like, oh, they're knocking down the Saddam Hussein statue. Like, bring it down. Like,
but then you think about it and it's like, damn. No, what are we doing this shit for?
Bruh, I'm like, is he really that bad?
He talks about the gas, like he talks about the Sieg Heil to the President Gas Man. Of course, talking about the fact
that
damn, that needed a case like damn,
comparing Bush to Hitler, but also ultimately talking about a big talking point that would happen within the Iraq War, and that was that we all did it for the oil pipeline that was in the Middle East. And I mean, hard to say that wasn't the truth because, like, in the end, we got that.
Yeah, remember WMDs?
Yeah,
Weapons of Mass Destruction.
Weapons of Mass Destruction.
That shit don't even sound like. Even saying it now, it's like, why do we believe that? Shit doesn't even sound right.
They even brought up fucking up France because France was like, "Yeah, aren't we doing a little much, guys?"
Yeah, remember we stopped saying French fries.
We stopped saying freedom fries.
Freedom fries.
How wild were we,
anybody?
bro?
We was like, what? Y'all talking back? Freedom fries.
The crazy part is that that we made French fries. They didn't make that shit.
Shit that make no sense.
We made the name, you dumb motherfuckers. He also says, pulverize the Eiffel Towers who criticize your government, bang bangles the broken glass, and kill all that don't agree. Trials by fire, set in fire in a way that's not meant for me. Basically saying, yo, fuck it, we about to protest like France was doing. To your point, we about to protest like France was doing. And again, there's this tinge of homophobia going on at that point, and they're talking about it. And I think this is one of the first groups that actually, especially in rock, and I think punk rock in general, hardcore music, there's an undercurrent of homophobia and racism.
Yeah,
that's inherent there. And I think that, to me, always kept me out of that scene from getting too deep into that scene. Like, because I always felt like, yo, will these people
don't fuck with me.
Except, and there's an undercurrent of it. And I think that I watched a couple of videos during COVID, actually, where a lot of fans, white people who were fans of punk rock and hardcore scene, they were like, yo, there's a lot of racism in this shit. Like, and we gotta speak on it because it's been going on for over 30, 40 years. And it's interesting, again, to see Green Day calling out America, calling out, the industry for doing that. And again, Holiday's ahead of his time. And we only own like the first 3 songs, and this shit already a classic.
Classic. Big classic.
Like all day. So next up is the B-side of this, Boulevard of Broken Dreams. This is directly about Jesus of Suburbia, I think, from what I'm listening to. We all know the words. We played it on Amp Radio too. I walk a lonely road.
One of my favorite songs.
The only one. What lonely road are you walking on, bro?
You gotta add some Sazone onto that. You gotta hit the I walk a lonely road, the only one that I have ever known. You gotta give it its respect.
It's a bunch of like lonely roads and highways and stuff like that. How many niggas was walking on the highway back then, yo?
Hey, niggas was walking on lonely roads.
In your mind? Think about it.
Yeah. That I mean, people, I think at that time, too, you had a lot of people who were just like getting introspective.
Yeah.
And getting in their head and being like, damn, like, what's really going on out here? And it's funny that I read an interview again where he mentioned writing this song in New York.
Okay.
He went to New York for like a few weeks or maybe a few months, actually. just living in New York and just writing songs, and this was just a song he wrote, just walking alone. Very walking city too, so I get that.
I went to New York earlier this year. Well, I feel like I got the real experience of walking in New York, and it really is like it's refreshing.
Yeah,
it's great. I liked it a lot.
I like New York because you can walk and like be in big crowds and still feel alone.
Why do you like that? You like a really like you like to be alone, don't you?
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, it's cool. Like being alone. I think I like to travel and do missions alone. I get things done faster when I'm alone and just more efficiently.
My wife had asked one day, she was like, "What's Josh doing today?" And I was like, "I don't know." I was like, "You know what Josh will do? He'll pop up one day and he'll have a fucking jet."
Yeah,
and I won't know how he did it.
I really just be honestly, like on my weekends, I'll just be driving, going to different stores alone though. Like I'll just be like, oh, I'll catch up with you later. Grab dinner with my girl or something.
Next song, Are We the Waiting? This directly and again it's a story. This directly starts from Boulevard of Broken Dreams. More introspective song. Forget Me Nots, Second Thoughts, Live in Isolation, Heads or Tails, Fairy Tales in My Mind. This is a song for Josh. This is all about isolation and being alone. I like this song, but I feel like it's the come down from like the first 15 minutes of this album hitting you in the head.
You have a come down off that? Them drums slap me in the face. Them drums slap me in the face.
Definitely singing on this shit though. It's like, yeah, this is a little, it's a little more somber of a note. Yeah, for sure.
And again, like starts off with Starry Night, City Lights coming down over me. Again, continuing like the New York motif that he had from Boulevard of Broken Dreams. I like the song a lot. And again, it's very rare that like when I go through it, I've listened to the album like 3 times before we did this. I didn't skip one song. Like there were songs and I'll talk about it when it comes out. There were songs that were just like, this album's getting a little too long for me. But like, I found myself engaged the whole time. Would you say so, MC?
Yeah, I would say the same thing as well. You know, there's not too many Green Day albums that I've played completely in full. For the most part, it's I've stayed with the singles. As you had brought up the fact that you're a Viacom baby, I'm also being in New York City. I was a young kid at that point in time. We are definitely Z100 kids. So for the most part, I've known Green Day from Good Riddance. I don't remember hearing When I Come Around I think I was a little bit too young for When I Come Around on Z100. Yeah. But Good Riddance was definitely that area for me. But by the time that I was, 13 and 2004 came with American Idiot, I stayed more so towards the singles. Obviously, American Idiot, you saw it everywhere. They performed it with fucking Bush masks on. And then Holiday and Boulevard of Broken Dreams, those are very, very big VH1 records. When you would get ready for school, you would guaranteed hear it at every point in time. So I mainly stayed with the singles, but hearing this in full and seeing the actual concept of the entire album was something that made me appreciate this in a much different light. Next
song, Cigarettes and Ramen and a Little Bag of Dope. I Am the Son of a Bitch and Edgar Allan Poe. This could have been Pimp C saying this shit.
Man.
I'm like, yo, this little white nigga's going crazy. Of course, I'm talking about St. Jimmy. All that slow shit that was going on before. Out the fucking window is St. Jimmy. They right back into their punk rock shit. This is my favorite song on the album.
Oh, really?
I fuck with the song a lot. Yeah. It's my favorite song on the album.
This is like a good storytelling track.
Yeah, like you talking to me, I'll give you something to cry about. St. Jimmy, nigga. You know what I'm saying?
This is the alter ego. As Jesus of Suburbia was kind of like, yeah, this city's kind of scary. Kind of want to get away from this just a little bit. And you kind of hear that type of style in Are We the Waiting? Jesus of Suburbia is wanted to get away from a lot of this. St. Jimmy's like, yeah, I'll do all this. Heroin, pass it. Where are we at? 7-Eleven for the night? I'm good. Come on, let's do it. This is the alter ego of a calmer mind.
Yeah, and it's like you had the emo kid, and then, so we all know that group of kids, the rock kids. You had like the girl who was kind of cute, little Avril Lavigne looking bitch. Yeah. You had the dude that was like emo, quiet.
And she always had like the arm thing with the holes in
like
it.
Motherfucking.
Oh, the Jeff Hardy?
Yeah, Jeff Hardy. But then you had the cool nigga. Yeah. He might have had a leather jacket on. Greased up hair. This is St. Jimmy.
I was always back in school cool with them kids though.
Oh yeah.
And niggas never fuck with them. It was always the white bully kids that fuck with them. But the niggas, I feel like we have like a common, like even though we look different, we came from like the same type of background.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
In LA, those kids were just Hispanic kids.
Oh, that's true.
Like they were like taggers, low key, skate kids, and like, yeah, I fuck with them. I hang out with them at lunch, smoking blunts, all type of weird shit.
But was like Mexican kids back when you were going to school, they were down into like the old like vintage look too, right?
Yeah, they were dressing like rockabillys.
Yeah,
had the cuff jeans and like the spiked up hair.
The fuck
or not even spiked up, but just
slick back,
looking like Johnny Bravo,
looking like Grease.
Yeah, for sure.
I always think that's interesting because I was like, damn, like what made people, what. How do they learn that being that young? You know what I'm saying? Like,
nah, it's the music. I mean, they're really heavy into the punk scene, and that was what was always interesting to me because the punk scene was a little racist, but then they just kind of embraced it with open arms and like they found their pockets. So yeah, it was just that punk scene that they grew up in and just went to emulate in a sense.
Next song, a little shorter than I think. Is this the shortest song on the album? I feel like it is. Give Me Novocaine. It's all about the drugs.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the more calmer songs on the album. This is now Jesus of Suburbia, pretty stressed out through everything that's been going on. It's just like, you know what? Let me just take into St. Jimmy. Just pass me the drugs, bro.
let me hit that. Let me hit that heroin, my nigga. Out of body, out of mind. Kiss the demons out of my dreams. Get the funny feeling that's all right. Jimmy says it's better here. I'll tell you why. Hey, Future could. This might have been the inspiration.
That's what I'm saying. That's the thing that blows my mind so much about American Idiot. You take 2004 and 2023 from the way that they told this story. There's so many parallels. I don't want to say that it feels like nothing has changed, but it feels like between the past 20 years, things have just kind of stayed at a constant of just anxiousness, things going on, things feel like they're blowing up outside of the world, and just trying to be at peace with it all in some form of fashion, whether you have to self-medicate or whether you try and find it, spiritually or other ways.
It's interesting that you say that, because could you say that the kids who grew up like us in 9/11 and the kids who have only, because you think about the long period of time, y'all, where we had 9/11 recession and then nothing, right, for a long time up until Trump, then COVID. So those are the new kids. We lived through some crazy shit, but like, would y'all compare kind of like what the 9/11 kids to kind of like the COVID kids now? Like we're trying to regain our footing in a lot of ways.
Yeah, we're gonna get the COVID kids as they grow up. We're gonna get some good music and just good thoughts from them. I think one of the most interesting things I've seen from like COVID is that and this is just like a real side note. This kid went up to I forgot what it was. It was some type of machine, but they put their hand under it like it was like a alcohol dispenser.
Oh man!
And they don't even know. They just see that and just start rubbing their hands. They don't even know that it's like not even that thing. So kids are gonna be fucked up from COVID for sure, and they're gonna have some shit to talk about.
I just think it's crazy, like, right, that like no one's really talked about it. Like rap don't, like, the only thing we get out of like rap is like, I wear a mask before I kill you, like it's a COVID mask, or like they're like, we all knew that punchline was coming, but not even in other types of music, not even pop music talks about it. Like no one talks about that.
Yeah, I think everyone tried to party their way out of it, but that's just because we were old enough to do that.
Yeah,
but you got to think about the kids who weren't old enough to do that. The kids who were isolated from school and couldn't go to school because of COVID.
Couldn't go to graduation.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Couldn't go to senior dances. And again, like, I remember back at that point, people were like, well, fuck a fucking senior dance and some graduation. That's superfluous. I'm like, no, like that means something to kids. Like that is an institution. Like if you don't get to go to that, yes, that will fuck you up, because what story will you have to tell where I can say like, Josh, how was your high school prom?
No, it's like,
that's a story.
You have no story to tell.
Yeah. Like I was at fucking home and me and my mom slow danced.
Oh yeah. We did it on Zoom.
Yeah. Like that shit's sad. It was really dystopian, but the next song introduces a new character into the story. What's her name? That's some Atlanta shit.
What's her name?
What's her name?
What's her name?
What's her name? What's her name, shawty? We get it. This is the first like girl song. I was
gonna say they got a couple girl songs on here too.
But they actually kind of mirror the album cover when he talks about she's holding onto my heart like a hand grenade. Again, like bringing in all of those images and imageries, like all in into one song. Yeah, of the war tropes. She's a rebel. It's definitely for the ladies. If you can say that. What song on here is definitely more for the ladies than anything else?
Yep. Man, what was after this?
Extraordinary Girl.
Which was really for the ladies.
It's for the ladies, man. It's Jesus of Suburbia falling in love. Would this be Mary? Will this be his Mary? He's Jesus. Sure. He's Jesus. Shit.
Could be.
She's an extraordinary girl in an ordinary world that she can't seem to get away. I know the girls was flashing they shit to this back in the day at the concerts, nigga. They knew what was up with this song, man. Again, this is where it kind of starts to slow down for me. I wasn't a huge fan of Extraordinary Girl. I'm like,
I love this song.
I said, where are we going? Where are we going, y'all? He had to have songs for the ladies. So of course this is heavy 50 Cent. This for the bitches, nigga. Territory. I know, but
I mean, it did tell a story. You're about to meet this woman, and now you have your two alter egos. I'm sure from one side you're probably like, oh man, this girl's actually pretty nice, and then when Saint Jimmy meets her, it's like, hey, where we going tonight? Hey, we got bottles, we got all this. So you got to tell the area from both sides. But like you said, from a complete album perspective, these next 4 records, between these two and then the record that comes after that, before Wake Me Up Before September Ends comes, it's a little bit of the slower portion of the album.
Yeah, we get What's Her Name in full on Letter Bomb, which again talking about the Anthrax and all this shit. Like they laid it on
which
heavy.
was, man, remember Anthrax?
Niggas was getting mail with powder on it.
But niggas was scared to open their mail after that. They thought they was just sending it to anybody.
If we told people this shit today,
they wouldn't believe it.
They wouldn't believe it.
But then again, I mean, shit, people were wiping down Amazon boxes during COVID. They thought COVID was coming through the boxes.
Well, we didn't know anything at that point.
Hey, man.
We didn't know anything at that point.
That was the wildest shit. Niggas was literally Lysol in there.
Do you still sanitize all the time? I still do.
I sanitized before that. That's the crazy part about COVID was that I always had like Lysol wipes in my house. Like after I eat and clean and all that shit, I just always wipe my tables down. So then once this shit happened, I was like, oh, I'm already stocked up. I'm
so big on that now. Like even because I'm to a point where now, like when I go to the bathroom in a public place, like I just have a sanitizer. And I'll just do that instead of, because I'm like, you mean to tell me I gotta touch all that sink?
Yeah.
Like I'm not touching the sink. I'm not touching none of this shit. No, I'm just gonna hand sanitize. So if I go to a place and I see a fucking sanitize station, which they're disappearing now.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, I'm seeing less and less sanitary stations, which is.
I always keep it in my car, and like it's just always close by.
I have it in my car, even when I like pump the gas. I'm fucking furiously hand sanitizing. Yeah. I think that's the one thing from this period that's gonna stick with me. In the same way that like Anthrax stuck with us back in the day. Like if you get some powder on your mail, I think something happened where they sent mail to somebody at the Pentagon or to the White House a couple weeks ago.
Oh, shit.
And it had powder on it. Well, before they found the cocaine in the White House, but it had powder on the mail and it didn't end up being anything. But who actually got infected with anthrax?
I forgot. It was like they sent it to some type of senator or something like that. It was the same type of situation.
That's crazy. Yeah. Like because after that happened, I don't feel like anyone else got anthrax. But did anyone figure out who sent it? Was it from the Middle East?
Might have been from the government. Another scare tactic. Now that you look back at these situations, you're like, what is this shit?
To keep us scared.
How you get anthrax? Who has access?
Who was spreading it? Well, who created it?
Right.
Didn't Jadakiss have a line about this? What did he say about anthrax on Y? I forgot what he said about anthrax on Y.
Jadakiss actually, this is the same year too that Y came out, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yep. 2004.
Why did Bush tear down the towers or blow up the towers?
They used to censor that line. Isn't that crazy? They used to censor Bush's name out of that.
Real.
Kanye did the George Bush don't go care about black people the next year.
That nigga Mike Myers was like, what the fuck is going on?
Shit, Mike Myers, Chris Rock was about to piss himself. Oh, no, Chris Tucker, excuse me.
Chris Tucker was like,
Yeah, Chris Tucker was like, I'll be right back.
Chris Tucker, he hasn't acted in a movie in goddamn 3 years. So after Letter Bomb, we have Wake Me Up When September Ends.
This is probably my favorite song on there.
Put the Lighter Up.
Yeah, this is it.
That's one of them joints.
Man.
Put the light. This is what they call the climax of the rock opera, the hip opera of American Idiot. Versus like in the streets of shame where you've lost your dreams in the rain. There's no signs of hope. The stems and seeds of the last dope. There's a glow of light. The St. Jimmy is the spark in the night. Bearing gifts and trust. A fixture in the city of lust. That's deep.
Get into it.
That's very much again. Drugs are there. St. Jimmy the Enabler is there. The dystopian is very dystopian, like torn down city that he lives in. That's all there. And again, they're bringing all of these themes and all of that together. One thing that was interesting about this song that I read was that every part of the song was written by different people in the band.
Oh shit!
So it was a product of a single session that they did, like a jam session that they did together, and that they created that song from that. So like it's actually really cool to know that they crafted something like so beautiful. Like it's a very eloquently written song, but it shows like again they had problems, but they came together to make a classic. So like again they was really in their bag with this one.
Yeah, no, and I read somewhere too that like he had the title comes from his father. His father died September 12th.
Yeah, and
he locked himself in his room and said, "Wake me up when September ends." So
sad, bro.
Man, and that happened when he was like a kid. So to come like harken back to that for this album at this time when he's talking about kids and what they're just going through.
Yeah,
just it's deep. It's really deep.
He also talks about stepdads too. In Holiday, I think he talks about. He said his mom had multiple stepdads or something like that, and I was like, I had a stepdad, and I didn't get along with that nigga either. To be real. So the second part is East 12th Street. Jesus filling out paperwork now at the facility on East 12th Street. He's not listening to a word now. He's in his own world. He's daydreaming. He'd rather be doing something else now, like the cigarettes and the coffee with the underbelly. His life's on the line with anxiety now. She's had enough and he's had plenty. Is this him signing up to... I thought it was him signing up to enlist, but apparently it was about him like signing paperwork because he beat on what's her name?
Oh shit, St. Jimmy out here wilding.
Yeah, I didn't even. I was like, oh, is this him like filling out to enlist? And I was like, oh no, it's him like filling out paperwork at the police station.
Damn, that makes sense about the father stepfather angle.
Yeah, exactly. And then the next part, Nobody Likes You. You have Mike Dirnt here, the other guitarist. He's singing on this song, actually, saying, I fell asleep while watching Spike TV. I said,
Spike
nigga.
TV.
That's a capsule.
Man, Spike TV. That was crazy.
Remember what was being played at this point, too? It was The Man Show. It was a bunch of silly-ass shows at this point. That Spike TV used to be the channel you kept on when you just had it on when you was doing something else.
That's a crazy one.
Like, Wilder was raw on Spike.
It was.
It was for like a hot second. Because remember, it was TSN or TNN, and then it became Spike, and Raw was gone.
That's what it was.
So it became Spike that like literally 2003. Raw, WWE had their last year of their deal with TNN was that year, and then they went back to USA in 2005. So that was their. They had
like a Saturday show on Spike too.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did. I think it was Velocity at that point. Yeah. I want to say it was Velocity at that point. They had a lot of... It was weird having to go to like... Back in the day, TNN was channel 57 for us. So it was way up the dial. Like I was like, no one watched TNN in my household because it was the Texas network or the Nashville network. All you had was rodeos and roller derby on that shit. So like when Spike TV came along, it shut shit down. Like because from there it had UFC... They had
all the manly shit.
Yeah, the
testosterone.
They also had like 100 Ways to Die. That was another show I used to watch on there.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
They had Cops on there. They had a bunch of fucking shows on there. And then they switched it up. I forgot what it became after that.
Who got the Spike TV catalog? I need to go find these shows.
I'm trying to remember what other shows that I was watching. I did watch Man Show. I'm still stunned. I'm still stunned that Jimmy Kimmel isn't in the position that he is right now, especially 20 years later.
Was Walker Texas Ranger on?
He might have been on TNN.
Yeah, you're right.
It might have been on TNN. Like that played a bunch of the They played a bunch of the crazy stuff on there. Then part 4, Rock and Roll Girlfriend. This is where I just kind of goes off the rails because it's the drummer Trey Cool singing. At this point, I'm like, where are we going? This song long as shit. And he's talking about go-karts and guns are the treasures they'll bear in this summer heat. Billy Joe comes back and says the world is spinning round and round. And he says the 7-Eleven to the fear of breaking down. The 7-Eleven is back. That's like the Texaco. That's like the Texaco in Atlanta.
It is. Like a Walmart in the South.
Yeah, like the 7-Eleven is like that's where they hanging at. So he says, send my love a letter bomb and visit me in hell. We're the ones going. Basically say, yo, the world's fucked up. We all going to hell. Ain't shit changing. And this is where they leave it at. I like this song a lot, especially just to come off of all of that. But then my issue with the album is that you still have more left. And I'm like, all right, yeah, you have a lot left. I'm like, y'all, Punk's album should only be like 35 minutes at best.
Can you get off a concept album in 35 minutes though?
They nearly did it. They could have ended it with that song.
They could have
ended it.
Well, I would want "Wake Me Up When September Ends" on it. I think that's where I got tricked up. I think you had said "Wake Me Up When September Ends." I think that was Letter Bomb.
Oh, okay.
So when you said "Wake Me Up When September Ends," I was like, to me, that's a 10 out of 10 record. To me, that's probably one of the more memorable records from Green Day. it kind of moves away just a little bit from the story. It doesn't really go too much into St. Jimmy or Jesus of Suburbia. It ends up being reflective of, like how Josh said, his father that had passed 7 years before, prior to that record ended up coming out. And then, you get a perspective that I think a lot of people can not only identify with, but you can also tie it with things that are not family. You can identify that with relationships, friendships, and like you said, it's the lighter record that ends up going up, and it ends up being one of my favorite Green Day songs.
So What's Her Name is basically the Take Me Back, Baby, Please. He's broken up with What's Her Name. He fucked everything up with her. And then we get kind of a shorter song here about her and, breaking down how he remembers their relationship. And it's a pretty big moment on the album where that part of the story is gone now, because allegedly he beat her off the drugs, off the stems and seeds, and like I said, it happens, and it rolls us into the final song on the album, Favorite Son. This song is about Bush, right? Like it's straight up about Bush. He's talking basically about. He says on one of the verses, a fixture on the talk shows to the silver screen, from here to Colorado, he's a sex machine. Basically talking about all the films he had appeared in at that point. I didn't know that George Bush had been in movies.
Had he been?
Yeah, he was. They according to what I was reading about on this song, he had been. It says,
was it something that his dad was in, and maybe he was just a kid in it?
He was in The Pursuit of Equality or some shit.
What the fuck was that?
I don't know. It's basically just.
I don't know what the hell it is.
He's basically just dissing him. Like he says, his Royal Auditorium is a murder scene. Referring to the war in Iraq. And again, it's just one more shot at Bush before they end the album off. This song's fine. He says he's not the All-American that you thought you paid, all this stuff. Like I think we got the hint when it was subliminal. And when they did it like straight up, like, yo, this is about Bush, I was like, all right, y'all. All right, we get it.
Wait, what song is this? Governor?
It's Favorite Son.
Favorite Son?
I feel like
I think those end up being like some of the bonus tracks.
Bonus tracks.
Traditionally, like if you were to buy the album in 2004, I think it ends at What's Her Name, which is actually a really good ending.
Yeah.
Because at What's Her Name, once What's Her Name ends, it's like, okay, all this shit happened.
And that's where
I thought that I was good. I killed off St. Jimmy, and the shit still ain't work. God damn, now I'm stuck.
That's why I was getting fucked up, and that's why streaming fucking sucks sometimes, because we could be listening to all three of us could have listened to different versions of this album.
Yeah, I'll listen to the original version.
I had live versions on my.
I listened to the original.
Oh, you was playing the deluxe.
Yeah, I didn't listen to the. Mine stops at Governator.
I didn't have a Governator on mine.
I didn't have a Governator. Mine ended at What's Her Name.
My shit ended it ends with.
But What's Her Name is where it ends on the CD.
It is where
I remember
that.
that.
But I thought y'all had got Favorite Son too, and I was like, this seems to be like a bonus song, but I'll just talk about it anyway. But that ends off American Idiot. 10 out of 10.
Yeah, no, it's a great album. That's a classic album. A lot of big singles. But then also some like big album cuts, which I think is like a real sign of a classic album.
It's a real stadium record.
Yeah.
And they created it to be that way, of course, but you hear it in the records. Like, these are stadium anthems, and they really shine through on the album. I love it. I'm glad that I went back to it. Shouts out to Josh again for bringing this back up, and because I didn't feel like it. Not that I didn't feel like it was worth listening to, but I didn't feel like I had missed anything. But I was like, yo, I missed a lot.
No, it's really one of my favorite albums ever. I have vivid memories with this album, and I'm just glad we can kind of go back and honor it in a sense.
Did you ever get to watch the Bullet in a Bible DVD where they kind of did the entire album of American Idiot and then also mix in some of their I think
I haven't. That's why I'll probably check it out tonight. Honestly, like I want to watch the documentary about it. I don't know. I just want to find the opera, honestly, because I feel like that was just such an experience.
I feel like it's on YouTube.
Yeah, I remember seeing it and just like seeing tickets and being like, oh shit, that's dope.
Because I always want to know, is it them playing or is it other people playing them?
It's other people.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That makes sense. Next episode of ThrowBLKs, we're going to go to 2011.
I'm ready for it.
Where a man wearing tight pants shut down the world during the VMAs. One of the best surprise album drops, in my opinion, of all time.
Okay.
We're going to talk about Lil Wayne's The Carter 4. 2011, a very, very strange time in hip hop. Just fashion wise, music wise, and really just a changing of the guard.
Yeah,
in
absolutely.
a lot of ways. I think that was the beginning, and you kind of see, and I want to talk about, and we're going to talk about how Lil Wayne, I won't say struggles to keep relevancy, but attempts to keep his relevancy with all the new people that came up while he was gone in that 1 year. So next time on ThrowBLKs, we're going to talk about Carter 4, an album that also a lot of people fucking hate. And I'm here to say, I'm standing on two. I'm standing 10 toes down on saying that album's great. It's one of the best Carters.
Okay.
I'm standing 10 toes down. You know what else I'll say? No, I'm not. I'm gonna wait. Because niggas ain't ready for that.
All right.
That whatever you're about to do is about to piss me off. Now I'm kind of worried about this ThrowBLKs.
I'll say it. I'll say it.
Don't do it.
I think it's better. I think in some ways.
We'll save your take for the show.
I think in some ways it's better than Carter 1.
It's definitely not, but all right.
I think in some ways it's better than Carter 1.
All right.
In some ways.
In
some ways, I think it is.
Can't wait to talk about those ways.
Get about this damn chair, man.
In some ways, I think it's better than Carter 1. Okay, we'll get back to it in a couple of weeks with ThrowBLKs. For Josh and MC, I'm J5. Thank you guys for listening. Make sure you check us out on YouTube, subscribe, like, leave us some comments. Also, check us out on Instagram, OGJohnny5 on Instagram and Threads, Joshton Peas on Instagram, just Instagram. MC at My Man MC is on Twitter and Instagram, and I think Threads too. Just leave us a comment. Tell us what you like. Tell us what you don't like. Make sure you sign up for our Patreon. Patrons are, of course, getting this episode first and early for free. That was the Freeway early.
Yes, that was.
We gotta talk about Philadelphia Freeway too.
That's a great album.
It's a great album.
Another one.
Just so much stuff that we have coming out. Our clips go crazy. Our reels go crazy. So shout out to, of course, Mark for putting a lot of those together and getting some of the best clips and all that stuff. People are hitting me up all the time talking about it's not really y'all talking about that shit. Yes, it is. And of course, make sure you check us out every Wednesday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern for Black Paint Radio on AMP. Make sure you check that out because we have some really cool episodes. We have some really cool conversations. You want to catch it live though, because we got the replays on there.
Could happen.
You never know what could happen. Yeah. You can have somebody on there talking about beating niggas up in Paris.
We can call you on stage.
Listen, there's so many people that try and get on stage whose pictures I've never seen before, and I'm like, I don't know what you're gonna say.
Hey, let them say something crazy.
I'll do it next time.
That's the best thing. It could be like
next time they do
Chatterbox and GTA 3.
Next time they do it, I'm gonna let them on. I'm gonna let them in. But thank you guys for listening. We're gonna get out of here now. We'll see you guys in a couple weeks for another episode of ThrowBLKs with Lil Wayne and the Carter 4. Peace.